This time of the year is super weird for me. On one hand, I am super excited and super motivated to get started in learning languages, but on the other hand, this is one of the busiest times of my job. So while I want to study every day, I cannot always do it. I'm excited to make this video for those of you in the same situation, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to learn a language even when you're busy with finals at university or college, or when you're busy at work, or any other personal situation. And at the very end, I will share with you 2 actual schedules that my students use to learn languages even with their busy lives. Maybe one of the questions that I get asked the most is, how do I learn languages if I am super busy with work, with college, with personal life? Is there a way for busy professionals and busy uni students to learn a language? Well, yes, of course there is. There's a way for everyone in reality. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. I'm going to share with you some techniques, some things that you can do in order to learn a language even at your busiest times. So we're going to start at the most logical place there is, which is of course passive learning. Passive learning, it's going to be your new best friend. Passive learning works especially well if you are on a specific moment where are the busiest, like studying for finals, or maybe even planning your wedding, or ending a very important project in your job. These are moments where you have to prioritize your life, and in order to do that, you have to leave language learning way down in the priority list. And language learning will be in the background, but in the form of passive learning. You can make yourself at least every week, ideally every day, to have contact with the language in a passive way. This can be with podcasts, music, this can be with YouTube videos, or even reading. So pick one passive activity that gives you the most joy. Even apps will work well in these scenarios, and then go with it. When you're super busy, like in these situations, do not expect crazy progress. It's not gonna happen. Do expect to maintain your language and to learn words very slowly and to gain some better understanding of structure. Now let's move on to something that you must have clear if you want to learn a language, even if you're busy 24/7, if you have a hectic schedule on a daily basis. Motivation it's one of the most important things when learning a language, and people with busy schedule tend to give up earlier because, well, they say the excuse, I don't have time, which we all know is BS. What you're really trying to say when you say I don't have time is, this is taking longer than I expected, this is more difficult than I expected, and I'm gonna give up. Understand that learning a language is a process that simply takes time. How much time? I don't know, it's very different for everyone, and it really doesn't matter how good your program is, how good your teacher is, how good your tutor is, how good your language coach is. If you don't make the time for it, if you don't put on the effort that it needs, you're not gonna progress, or you're gonna progress so slow that you're gonna give up in a second. Now that you know that it takes time and it takes effort to learn a language, I want you to know that yes, it's time consuming, but no, it's not impossible. Millions of people do it every day, every month, every year, so you just have to be consistent. Let's move on to something more practical. Habits. I do not get tired of talking about habits. It is really one of the best ways to include language learning into your daily routine. And I am so obsessed with setting language learning habits that I make a full video about it that you can watch maybe somewhere over here, where I talk very in detail how to set language learning habits, and all of my language learning habits that you are very welcome to steal and try on yourself. But in a nutshell, for the purpose of this video, I'm gonna be telling you a little bit about habits. Habits are things we do every day to automate or learning or any process in general. And some habits that you can include, it's like every time you work out, you listen to a podcast in your target language. You use an app every time you drink your morning coffee. This is my personal favorite. Or even every time you enter a room, let's say your bedroom or your living room, you think in one particular language. More on that in that video, but first finish watching this video because you want to know more tips before you go over there. But how to actually plan and schedule language learning into your daily routine when it's hard to find that time every single day to learn. Especially if you don't have a fixed routine, it can be really hard to find that regular time to learn a language. And aiming for a daily study session can be like super difficult. However, you could aim for a total hour of weekly study time. Let's do this in a more practical example. Let's say this week you are fully booked and barely have time to sleep, eat, and shower. Naturally, you won't be as active learning a language that you will do in any other week. So you can aim for something like 2.5 hours of study, sit down study time during the whole week. I will say that's sort of a realistic way to see language learning and keep your progress. Now let's set another example. Let's imagine that the following week you are actually more free. You're even thinking about going to the cinema with your partner or your family. And this week you can maybe challenge yourself to do something between 4 to 5 hours of weekly study. And we will discuss how to spread these hours throughout your week in just a second. But before we go, I want to talk to you about one of my favorite things to do. It's very motivating, and it's that when you complete the set hours, you should celebrate. With what my dear friend Sarah Maria from @Miss_Linguistic on Instagram calls, and I quote, #driving yourself to study. Sarah Maria will often take herself to a nice cafe in order to force herself to study, and in that cafe she will mostly order matcha. And while you might not have her fabulous nomad lifestyle that allows you to go to a cafe to study in the middle of the day or at your preferred language learning time, there is a slightly different approach to it, and it's the approach that I follow. This is what I do. If I complete the hours that I set myself to do during that week, I will make myself something sweet and chocolatey. In fact, today I will prepare my language schedule for next week, and I'm gonna aim to do 2.5 hours of weekly study time, and if I complete it, I'm gonna give myself some Nutella pannekuchen. Share in the comments what is your weekly time goal and what will you use to bribe yourself into studying. I'll share my favorite and most creative on Instagram. Now let's go to my computer because we're gonna talk about how to put it actually in your calendar. Here's where we spread all of the hours from our weekly goal throughout the week, and I use a technique called time blocking on Google Calendar. So here's my actual calendar for this week, which will be hectic. So all the yellow means it's busy time, the blue times mean daily activities like lunch, morning or night routine, and commute, and green means other activities like working out, which I intend to do every week, but never get my head around it. My goal this week will be, like I said before, 2.5 hours of study time during the week. So as you can see, there are some white spaces in here. If I am completely honest, I know that after 8 p.m. I never study. I've tried it, and the truth is that I am super tired to learn at this time. I do know that right after lunch and in the morning, right before I get to work, I am more likely to have a full study session and stay focused through the whole time. So anytime between 8:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. will be a great time to set a study session. This week will be hard to set a regular study schedule, aka same time of the day. And that's why I will have some learning time during the morning, some at lunch, and even one at 6 p.m. I do recommend trying to do it as much as possible at the same time every day. I make 30-minute sessions a day, and I do learn during the weekends, or at least I try to do. Now this looks ideal, but how do we translate that into real life? What I love about time blocking is that you can change it easily and reschedule as many times as you want to. When I complete a session, I change the color to gray so I can visually see what I did and what I didn't. So gray means done and color means didn't do it. In reality, there are a few days where it will be hard to complete the daily 30 minutes. As you can see here on Monday, I don't have time or rather the proper mindset to study at lunch. So I added 15 minutes to my Thursday and Friday sessions. I also decided that I didn't want to study this Saturday because I want to go out and have fun with friends and my partner. So my 30-minute session will be moved all the way to Tuesday. And I don't regularly study on Tuesdays because it tends to be a busy day, but because this week I rather have fun on Saturday, I will change it up to Tuesday. So this is how my routine looks right now. Now let's go for a round of bonus tips and different scenarios that may happen to you or that might be your specific situation. I started with college students. Now, if you're attending college or university, it's very likely that you have a lot of things to study, which can make it a little hard for you to concentrate or to do some extra hours of study time. And I totally get it, your brain is absolutely tired. What I do recommend you to do is that in those periods where you're heavily studying more theoretical subjects for your career, you can change and do some more practical things with your language learning. So it feels more like downtime and less like I really need to do this, otherwise I don't get my degree. And what you can do in this downtime language learning study is trying techniques like the shadowing technique or having actual conversations with people, chatting on language exchange apps like Tandem, so it feels more fun and a little bit more interesting than your regular sit-down study session. And then once you have more free time, you can sit down and do the study that I know you secretly enjoy. Now, if you're trying to learn multiple languages at the same time, there are a few things that you can do. First, you have to pick up a main language, and that's the language that you're going to be focusing on for the next month or the next 3 months or the next however period you find correct. Then you can go two routes. You can either study the other languages whenever you feel like it, which is what I do, or you can plan those other languages for any significantly less time than the other. Let's say that you're going to study 3.5 hours of your main language during the week, maybe add an extra hour divided in periods of 15 or 20 minutes of any other languages. And because I know a lot of you struggle with organizing and planning your learning, I created a free course that you can go check out. It's in the description box down below. And one last tip, if you're an advanced or intermediate learner, you can plan your day in your target language. This is a habit that I really promote to do, and it works really well with busy people. Most of my students that are very busy have found that this not only helps them be triggered by learning a language, but it also helps them improve their daily vocabulary, because they have to use words that they will normally use at work or at their daily life, like going to meetings, walk, work out, and stuff like that. And the more specific you are in planning your day, the better, because the more words you're gonna be learning. Now I'm gonna share with you 2 schedules that 2 of my students used in order to learn languages, even with their crazy busy schedules. This is the proof that if you want to learn a language, you absolutely can. Listen closely and take note, because these 2 schedules you can actually apply in your daily routine. Student A has a fixed schedule. She works a 9 to 5 job, and she is a mother of 2 little kids. What we did is that she planned her language learning routine in the morning before her kids wake up. She is a morning person, so this was no problem for her. And we planned study sessions of only 20 minutes, because let's be honest, she can only be 20 minutes working on something before she gets interrupted. She did 20 minutes every single day from Monday to Friday, and then on Saturdays she will dedicate an extra hour of learning languages with her kids. So she will play along with them, teaching them songs in Spanish, which is her target language. Then at her lunch break, to add some extra time of passive learning, she will watch shows. She has to have lunch at the office, which was a little hard for her, but including watching Netflix on her computer while she eats in her target language was very fun for her, and she told me that actually made her happier during the rest of the day. Now, student B, she doesn't have a fixed schedule. She's a freelancer, and she loves fitness. So if there's one thing that is consistent in her routine, is fitness. She uses time blocking technique for work anyway, so it was perfect to use that also for language learning. And we set a weekly goal of 3.5 hours, which will count up for 30 minutes a day. And if she finished it, she will reward herself with just watching reality TV shows, so she can completely disconnect from work and have fun. She lives alone, so it was very easy for her to get to study right at the moment that she gets home, so most of the sessions were at night. Sometimes we even divided the 30 minutes into 2 sections, 15 minutes in her lunch break and 15 minutes at night, right away when she gets home. We also work on creating this steady habit of passive listening during her workouts. Since her workouts are really comments, and she works out from Monday till Monday every day, all the time. I really know how she does it. She used to listen to podcasts in German, which is her target language. Now, if you're really serious about learning languages, then subscribe to this channel, because that's all I talk about. I have no more topics to talk about. And hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single episode. And I'm doing a lot of content, which takes a lot of time, so if you can like this video, honestly, it will mean the world to me. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!